Ah, greetings, traveler. It is a pleasure to see you. Well, you certainly have good timing, traveler. I just noticed that an incoming storm is on the horizon. So please, don't just stand out there in the weather. You are more than welcome to enter my humble abode and share the fire with me.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Well, traveler, the Irish fella, well, let me just say, fantastic and outstanding are understatements when it comes to my current state of mind. I'm deep into my physical fitness regime, and as I was working on this script today, I noted a growing sense of excitement. I believe I mentioned in my last exercise video that I was going to join a gym, and I'm going to do that tomorrow because I am ready to get rid of a little bit of excess body fat I have and add quality muscle. So, brothers, as is no doubt obvious by now, I am seeking a higher level of physical fitness. I have experimented with a wide variety of exercise forms. In fact, I have been performing yoga for 46 years. When I was in my 20s and living in California, I rode a bicycle everywhere. Also, I have been exposed to a variety of martial arts disciplines. Ninjutsu, Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Indonesian stick fighting, UFC-style shoot fighting, and others. Yet there is one activity that I have returned to repeatedly. It has proven its effectiveness over the years, and it is something that anyone can do, regardless of age or level of fitness. Lifting weights. Thanks to my unique genetic heritage, I already know that I am not an athlete. I can't run fast since I broke my leg when I was 14. And with my lifetime lack of coordination, it is impossible for me to fulfill my cultural imperative by playing either basketball or football. At least, lifting weights is an activity I can perform without shame or guilt. I've been reading Muscle and Fitness magazine for many years. It is an excellent resource for quality information. And in fact, reading that magazine made me realize that bodybuilding is a combination of science, fitness, and art form. Now, the time for half-stepping is over. I am going to embrace bodybuilding, well, at least semi-hardcore. I performed an exercise routine Saturday, and I modified my actions due to the help of my virtual grandson, Orange Tango. I must give him a shout out, for his instruction was incredibly effective. I thought about it, and the modifications I did were actually minor. Now, having been doing this by myself for so long and rarely being in a gym, I know my form would make a real bodybuilder cringe. So, adjustments to form and slowing my movement speed was all I had to do. The same routine I had done the week before was so good that I didn't need to use the bar. I already had an effective workout thanks to quality instruction. For the rest of that day, I could feel the efforts of that enhanced exercise session. It's an ache, a discomfort that reminds you that you worked hard and are improving. And you will note that it is much different than the pain one feels due to an extended period of inaction. In any kind of physical activity, there is a buildup of chemical residues in the body that causes fatigue. A regimen of exercise will enable you to respond to that stress, making gains in performance. Now, one must be careful to produce documentation when immersed in an exercise regime. It is very important to do this, for a clear sequence of activities must be available. Boredom can easily overwhelm your motivation if you are not keeping track of what exercises you're using, setting goals, and using alternatives when necessary. There is one other factor that must be considered. With any exercise, there is a breakdown in body tissues. Your body needs rest so it can rebuild. There is one other factor that must be considered. To enhance your recovery and resultant progress, you must carefully apply a knowledge of nutrition and supplements. Now, I admit that the advice I share here is from the perspective of above average age and some health issues. However, I think it still has value regardless of the age of who is watching. Yes, Orange Tango, even you can learn something today. Bodybuilders can consume immense calories if they're in a strength or size building regimen. I've read some diet plans in the Muscle and Fitness magazine where people were consuming 7,000 calories a day. In order to maximize gains, you certainly need the building blocks, but you also have to limit your intake of, quote, empty, unquote, calories, or as they say in the gym, eat clean. So, from a site called WebMD, I ran across the article titled How to Eat as You Age. First, eat colorful fruits and vegetables. The bright color is a sign that those items contain a high amount of antioxidants, which are vital to keep your body from breaking down under the stress of normal living. And you can eat things like blueberries, which are some of the best for antioxidant properties, red raspberries, dark cherries, and vegetables like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. Now, dairy is another important source of nutrients, especially for things like calcium and vitamin D. And they're available in milk, yogurt, and cheese. Now, I used to drink 2% or even 1% milk, but I've switched back to whole milk because I want the extra fat calories. If you are doing a hardcore exercise regime, just like back in the day, the early bodybuilders used to eat raw eggs. And this was when detailed or even accurate knowledge of nutrition was practically non-existent. It was all word of mouth and try it and see if it works. Someone did a study on bodybuilders and they said, well, you know, the yolks of eggs contain a lot of cholesterol. So these people should be having all sorts of cardiovascular issues. So they did some tests and it turned out that they were all in above average health. Their intense exercise was actually burning up the cholesterol before it could be converted to substances that could do harm. Now, whole grains are important for B vitamins and fiber. Things like oatmeal, whole wheat, quinoa, which I've heard of but I haven't tried yet. And I used to eat a lot of it, but now I am cutting way back on my processed grains like rice and pasta. I still like them a lot, but because they're so processed, they're more a filler. It's been said that your average cup of noodles, the ramen style stuff, is not only empty calories, but it's pretty much empty of nutritional value, which I thought was surprising. Now, lean protein, of course, is very important. And you don't just need it to eat meat to get it. You can also get it from beans and nuts, things like peanut butter. Oh, and for people who like to eat beans but are afraid of the side effects, I found out personally that the old school pork and beans, oh man, I eat a can of those. You're going to have to close the area off as a biohazard. But, I hope I'm not sounding racist, but when I eat black beans, I experience no intestinal discomfort at all. And there are such a great variety of beans out there, beans and peas, you should be able to find something that will work. Now, of course, there are people that eat pork and beef. Now that I'm older and my stomach is more sensitive, I've moved away from that. I will still eat a little on occasion, but my stomach will tell me very quickly when it's had enough. So I actually prefer to eat chicken but mostly I will eat fish. The tilapia fillets that are frozen, tuna fish, or even sardines. The little bones in sardines have already been softened some by the processing, so there is no difficulty in eating them, and they are a good source of calcium. And fish is also very important because it is a source of omega-3 fatty acids, a fat that is actually valuable for you to keep your body in top condition. The best sources for this oil are in salmon, mackerel, and tuna. Now, you're eating all this food and you're going to the gym and your body may be responding. Now that's all well and good, but remember, like the man said back in the day, work smarter, not harder. So, from a website called the Mindful Tech Lifestyle, I found an article titled Brain Boosting Foods You Should Be Eating. Now, as we mentioned before, the leafy greens, they are sources of vitamin E and K. And spinach, kale, collard greens, and studies have shown that eating these dark green vegetables will help prevent brain abnormalities linked with dementia and Alzheimer's. Now, coffee, besides giving you an energy boost, gives you antioxidants, but no sugar or cream. Here's one that's surprising. Almonds. They're a good source of vitamin E and magnesium. It improves memory, learning, and the act of thinking itself. So, the omega-3 fatty acids that I mentioned just a bit ago, they have substances called EPA and DHA. They protect the brain from inflammation and stress from oxidation. And it may prevent the cognitive declines that come with age. Now, let's see. I already mentioned blueberries for their vitamin and antioxidant properties. They also help to prevent against age-related changes in the brain. Now, dark chocolate is another good one. And I've noticed, you get a regular Hershey bar, that sugar, your brain recognizes that, and oh man, before you know it, the whole bar is gone. But if you get a quality dark chocolate, which is, I can't remember what the scale is referring to, but it should be a good 80%. Now, this has the effect of making the dark chocolate a little on the bitter side, but I've noticed it's very satisfying. You don't need to eat a big piece of a quality dark chocolate to be satisfied and receive the effects without ruining your diet. And here's another one I mentioned before, the egg yolks. They contain a substance called choline, which I believe is an amino acid. It increases memory and thought processes. So it's obvious that eating healthy is a mandatory activity for you to achieve and maintain personal wellness. So, when you're cooking, bake or grill your items instead of frying them. And with vegetables, steaming them or heating them in a wok with a slight amount of olive or peanut oil is much better than boiling. Boiling removes a lot of the nutrients, which are just poured down the drain with the water. Oh, and before I keep going, oh, that's it. I almost missed one. Avoid fats like lard. And when I cook, I use butter instead of margarine. It has flavor, and you actually use less of it. In fact, they did an experiment some years back. Someone took some margarine and some butter outside, and they put it near an anthill. And they set a camera up and hung around to see what the ants would do. Well, the ants showed up, and they had their typical eating party. But not on both. They completely ignored the margarine and ate the butter. So it seems like, in some cases, ants are smarter than people. And just a reminder about rest. Do your best to get enough sleep before and after exercise. A tired athlete cannot focus and is risking injury. So, I'll admit that I've done some research on nutrition, but I've never done it with the exclusive intent of bodybuilding. So I did some online surfing, and I found a website called King of the Gym. This website says it is the, quote, no bullshit guide to supplements, unquote. Now, this data is a little on the old side. It's actually current year -4, but I reviewed it and it is quality information, so I will share it with you. Supplements are very effective tools for accelerating progress. Diet, hard work, and rest are important, yet proper use of supplements is a vital addition. Unfortunately, there must be an attitude of caveat emptor, or buyer beware, that a consumer must adopt. Some supplements may be loaded up with, quote, proprietary blends. Now, if they do that, it's a way to avoid registering them. After all, if you apply for a patent, you have to reveal your processes and the formula. And then after a certain period of time, the formula becomes public and you have no control over it. But if you do that, you can keep it a secret. But sometimes people will claim that it's some special blend, kind of like the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices deal. But you can't accurately measure what's in there. And you could be hearing all this hype and extreme claims about how people, just weeks after using this supplement, they do a double back biceps pose and they rip the seams off their shirt. Yeah, okay. Now, I must give a word of caution here. Supplements give you an advantage only if everything else is on point. So it's necessary for you to work up a checklist. Let's start with diet. Make sure you're eating enough calories, but not too many. And make sure you plan to have a pre and post workout meal. As far as your exercise routine goes, even without supplements, if you have good form and you are focused on the task, you should already be seeing gains in strength and size. Now, if your progress is stalled, you should modify your routine or have a whole new routine on standby. Don't fall into the trap of using supplements as a crutch to compensate for poor performance. of course, rest is another important factor. When you rest, especially when you sleep, that is when repair and growth occurs. You may need 7 to 8 hours of sleep per day, along with recovery time between workouts. And while you're doing all this planning, it's something you don't always think about, but use your money wisely. Buy quality food and basic supplements, such as a multivitamin, before going into detail. Basic supplements, along with adequate protein, are vital to ensure general health. Now, this first list is presented as a guide for complete beginners. Multivitamins, that's a no-brainer as the base of your supplement supplies. Whey protein is convenient and efficient. 1 scoop gives 20 grams of protein. If you have a sensitive stomach, you can also do what I do and use a whey isolate. Fish oil is an excellent item as well. Improved performance with body and mind are made when using this product. Vitamin D is produced when your body is exposed to sunlight. It is critical for a strong and healthy body and is a component of naturally produced steroids. So take a lot. Now, that's the basics. But you're stepping your game up. So you're looking for performance enhancing supplements now to give you the edge. Creatine is a naturally occurring amino acid that produces undeniable results. It's the best item available to accelerate strength and muscle building progress. You will see noticeable gains in the first 2 weeks of starting a creatine cycle. I mentioned caffeine again, either from coffee or pills. It'll give you the energy you need to complete your workout. And sleep and recovery is where gains are made. Melatonin does not help you get to sleep faster, but it does help you sleep deeper and with fewer interruptions. If you use this, I highly recommend you do some research first to ensure a proper dosage. Soul Traveler, I'm not trying to do any bragging here, but I hope you are at least slightly impressed by the fact that I'm not half-stepping my research or my activity. When you're a man going your own way, you have no one stopping you from putting the concept in your mind, thinking about what you need to achieve, and putting those plans to action so you exceed those initial expectations. I got to check. I believe the end of this coming week will be right at about the 30-day point. So I think I just might hide out and perform an exercise video in the gym at that 30-day point so you can see what I'm up to and you can judge for yourselves if I am running, walking, crawling, or moonwalking. Soul Traveler, I hope you will think about what you have heard here today, and as you continue on your journey, remember, I still say some of the best days of your life haven't happened yet.